How can you change your life in just 2 minutes? How do you achieve more by expecting less? What long-forgotten kindergarten lesson is your key to clearing your path to achieve great goals? All these questions are answered on today's first birthday episode in the origin story of the Blue Ball Report. Hello and happy birthday, Blue Ball Report. Welcome to the second of 3 episodes tracing the roots and first year's growth of the Blue Ball Report. I'm your host, Digger. Before we dive in, I hope you'll join us for a special Laugh and Learn Mince and Mingle birthday event on Saturday, February 6th at 10 a.m. PST to mark and celebrate this first birthday of the Blue Ball Report. Blue Ball fans like you are like 4-leaf clovers, rare gems to be cherished but hard to find. So I want to create private events where we can meet, connect, and build community while doing what interests us most, laughing and learning. This will be a Saturday morning private get-together on Zoom, unrecorded and not here on YouTube. We'll watch an inspiring talk on emotional education with time to share meaningful conversations with sex-positive, evolutionary Blue Ball fans like you. After the talk, stick around to mingle by exploring the various Zoom breakout rooms for small group conversations, or join the ecstatic dance room to shake in some morning joy. This event is totally free for email subscriber fans, but you'll need a ticket because it won't happen here on YouTube. Plus, I'm offering free sex and relationship coaching sessions via Zoom for a limited time. For more details about both of these great freebies, please watch this recent episode linked here, and I'll leave links in the video description. Now back to our insightful origin story of the Blue Ball Report. You see, Superfvck was kind of a big deal around San Francisco from 2004 to 2009. He was a fun character I created and pulled out at parties for laughs. For more about his origin story, check out the prequel from last June about the immaculate conception of Superfvck, linked here and in the video description. Beyond a few lines, a few villains, and some funny superpowers, this character never really evolved much further, and I tucked him away out of boredom, to be honest. But I'd sometimes reflect and think, well, that was fun and cute. I wonder what else I could have done with him. Being immersed as a fan of drag and other stage shows, the idea of putting him on stage never fully appealed to me. And I'm clearly not the YouTube generation, so YouTube or video never really entered my brain as a possibility. Until one night in early 2018, I was jerking off vigorously when it suddenly fell into my head. Superfvck needs a revival on video as a superhero for sex positivity. How did that huge insight fall into my brain, and why did it take so long? If you want to cultivate big aha insight moments in your life, there's a whole book about how to do that. It's so exciting to live in a time when our understanding of psychology is so advanced. It's called The Butterfly in the Net, and I'll leave a link to that here and highly recommend it for anyone who needs to be creative and or innovate. So without even finishing off, and I immediately started brainstorming ideas. The first and dead-end road I began was the now defunct Digger Gets Around, which lasted about a month. I had envisioned that Superfvck would start as a guest on this series. But before long, I had another insight. I saw him as reporting back to his planet Gonad to give us experiences, perspectives, and stories, kind of like a daily show, making fun of our ridiculous ways about sex and talking about a better way. What would it be called? I saw the Earth in the background of the logo for this sort of bulletin report, and considering it was Superfvck's report from this planet, that led me to think, what would aliens call this planet if they just looked at it? Well, it's largely white and blue, and aha! The Blue Ball Report was almost instant with its perfectly appropriate connotation. The Blue Ball Report it would be. If you like laughing and learning to empower your Eros for Making Love Transcendent, then hit the subscribe button for weekly content. This kind of prompted a midlife crisis. I just earned a master's degree and was primed for embarking on a new career. And here I was thinking about jumping ship for this crazy-ass idea. Am I nuts? It wasn't an easy decision to make, and I mulled over it extensively and painfully. At one painful moment, my therapist asked me to close my eyes and listen to my gut when I asked myself what choice to make. One of the best pieces of advice I ever heard came from an old woman who said to me, when you have a choice in life, consider which option will make a more interesting story in the old folks' home. That should be your decision. I was certainly afraid of failing, afraid of embarrassing myself, but I realized that as long as I gave this my all, even if it wasn't successful, I would have no regrets. But I knew that if I didn't try it at all, I definitely would live with regret. To allow myself to be constrained by fear is my biggest fear. So I made myself summon up the courage to do it, to make the Blue Ball Report. I had the name, concept, and courage, but I quickly found out there's so much more parts to this and I have no experience with that I would need to quickly learn. I've never run my own business before. I've never managed such a massive project and undertaking all by myself. How do I make videos? Do I write scripts or freeform talk and then edit? How do I make a website? How do I set up an email list? How do I wake up at the same time every day when I don't have a boss to answer to? What about the lunch? Should I invite friends and make it a big deal? I spent my time researching other channels, what they do, how they succeed. I worked on writing and reviewing a business plan, setting up a website, email list, get a PO box. I tried recording an episode, but this was wrong, that was wrong. It was a year on and I was bummed out. I still didn't even have one episode out. I asked a friend, am I deferring spring cleaning to avoid homework? And of course he agreed. I realized I was getting bogged down in high expectations of what I wanted to create, and every time I thought I reduced it down to a manageable level of expectations, I found I needed to reduce it further and further and further. I think I allowed myself to get bogged down in the weeds to mask my fear of both failure and success. I wasn't expecting it to take 1.5 years from that decision to the premiere episode, but then the first episode just kind of happened because I just kind of let it happen without all the fanfare. But that wasn't possible until I accepted zero expectations and the fact that my first episodes will truly suck. In fact, you might think this episode sucks. That's a hard pill to swallow for a perfectionist who always excelled at his goals, but that's what I needed. I heard the same advice over and over, just do it. And yet I couldn't because no matter how much I lowered my expectations, they were still too high and I wasn't satisfied with what I was getting. Then I started reading this amazing book called Atomic Habits, which I highly recommend if you want to change your life. From that, I learned that to become a successful YouTuber, I would need to do at least something every day about my channel. I needed to adopt new habits, which is actually really hard. If you want to change habits in your life, check out the book Atomic Habits. In this book, it says that to adopt a new habit, amongst other things, you really need to start with the first 2-minute version. Yes, just 2 minutes. With my goal of making and posting my first episode, I set my timer for 2 minutes and I began to proceed. I'd usually get as far as putting my phone into a tripod and framing the shot before the timer went off. At that point, I was free to put it all away and get back to whatever else I was doing. Or I could continue for as far as I wanted to. Maybe set up the teleprompter. Maybe put on a costume. I could stop at any time. Why 2 minutes, you might ask? You can't produce anything in 2 minutes. Well, let's look at my bigger goal, to create and launch my first episode on my YouTube channel. If I set myself this whole goal at any time, my brain would immediately and successfully resist with a bunch of excuses. Oh, you don't have the time for that right now. But wait, you need to rehearse more before you film. Oh, you've never done this before. You better get online and find out from the experts how to do it. All sorts of negative self-talk. You've probably heard your brain stopping you in a similar way if you've attempted New Year's resolutions, huh? But if my goal was to just get 2 minutes in with the justification, well, it's just a 2-minute trial run, it's a rehearsal, then I didn't have much excuse. Anything more than 2 minutes, my brain will resist and I'm less likely to actually do it. If my brain resisted the 2-minute version of my habit, it was very easy to remind myself, it's just 2 minutes, get it done. But I remember one day, even when I promised myself I was only gonna do 2 minutes, I still deferred it until the end of the day and it was still nagging on my mind. I even heard myself arguing against 2 minutes. Oh, it's just 2 minutes and you won't have an episode done. Why not wait till you're actually ready to actually do the whole episode? So I was even resisting the 2 minutes. But then another part of my brain spoke up and said, just 2 minutes. You know what the research says. This is the best way to adopt a new habit. Just get your damn 2 minutes done so you can drop these two battling voices and get back to watching porn. So I did, and again the next day, and the next day. Sometimes I went longer. And when I did so, I didn't have the expectation of doing an episode. I let go of that expectation and just said, oh, I just want to see what it feels like. I'm just going through the motions, a practice run. When I got used to the first 2 minutes, then I added on another 2 minutes, and so on, with further tasks. It was January 2020, a year ago, and then I finally decided at one 2-minute sitting, just do a whole practice run. Film the whole episode in one sitting, watch it, mistakes and all, and then delete it. And I had to tell the critic, you're right, it'll be crap, I'm just practicing. Gonna make a crappy episode and trash it. No one will see it, it's just a rehearsal. Just going through the motions. So I sat down, and while I'm filming and speaking into the recorder, I'm distracted by the critic in my head going, oh, the light's wrong, my costume's wrong. This is useless, this is a waste of time. And I was hopelessly uncomfortable and trying to run away from the intensely uncomfortable feeling of this new experience. Of recording myself and putting myself out into the world with horrible lighting, bad acting, and feeling super awkward. Talking into a camera is so vastly different than talking to another human, it's hard to be normal. So while the kid inside of me was squirming to get away, this soft, new learned voice, like an adult, soothed the anxious kid within and said, "It's okay. Just play like the kids of kindergarten who have no self-consciousness yet. They're not fearful of judgment or failure. They're just gonna go for it with no fear of embarrassment. So let's just play. Do a trial run, just like practice. Not the big game. Nobody has to see it. We won't show anyone the product." Over and over in my head, the two forces battle, but the parental voice won, and I forced myself to film the whole thing with the promise I wasn't gonna release it and edit the whole thing. And then I watched it, dreading, anticipating an embarrassing product. But wow, well, it's not perfect for sure. My eyes were all over the place reading the script. Okay, it's no Academy Award winner, but it's not too bad for a first video, especially after a lot of the first videos I've seen on a lot of YouTube channels. So I quickly refilmed it, and I re-edited it, and then I posted it without telling anyone. My very first episode. I made such a big fucking deal of the whole thing, and what I needed to do was simplify down to brass tacks, and simplify some more, and some more, till it was just me and my camera. What I forgot from kindergarten is how to play. Play all in without fear of judgment from myself or others, without expectations and caring what anyone thinks. Let myself make that messy drawing, and drop the expectations. Adopt the 2-minute version. Now, I hope you won't forget that when you cultivate your endeavors. Reminisce and review the first year of the Blue Ball Report and discuss future plans in our first anniversary episode. Next week, the same fucking time, same fucking channel. Meanwhile, enjoy our episodes about sexual empowerment linked here in this playlist and in the video description. Until next time, farewell and fuck well.